again, this is one of 2 webinars today. They're going to be quick. They are hosted by Michelle Singh. We'd like to just take this moment to thank our sponsors: Wells Fargo, Ford Motor Company, the Anthony Abraham Foundation, Kids in Need, PNC Bank, our really good friends at Assurant, the Zip Family Foundation, Florida Blue Cross Blue Shield, the Kirk Foundation, and the PL Dodge Foundation has made all of this possible, and we greatly appreciate our donors and our sponsors. And you've seen our social media tags. Take a screenshot. We love it when you tag us when you're posting. If you want to say thank you to the Ed Fund, we appreciate your social media posts about the Ed Fund and tagging us. And I'm going to give the floor or the screen, I don't know what to say, the screen over to Michelle Singh.
All right. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about Whiteboard for the first session, and the second session we're going to talk about the recording options in PowerPoint. So I am going to share my screen. I'm going to turn my camera off while I share. Ooh. I should be able to see my screen here. And this is just the agenda for today, for the whiteboard. So we're going to talk about how you can share content. Yesterday we talked about meetings, scheduling meetings and managing meetings. Today we're going to talk about how to use Whiteboard in your meetings to share content with students. One of the things we touched on yesterday was the structure, how you should structure your meeting and how you should be sharing content. Students should not be looking at each other, for 60 minutes on end in a meeting and just listening to lectures. You should have interactive components of your online class meetings. And one way to do that is through using a tool like Whiteboard. So we're going to talk about how to use it within a Teams meeting, and how to use the app version of it, how you can upload different types of media, meaning like a PDF, how you can use the templates that are already built and create a link so you can share that with your students so you can work collaboratively together on a whiteboard. So let's start by just kind of going through what Whiteboard is. So think of it as those, dry erase boards that you have in your classroom, right? We use those for so many different things, from brainstorming, problem solving, to document our researching steps, right? Sharing content and the context with students. Students could use it for group projects to kind of plan out their roles and their ideas. It can be used obviously during distance learning or remote learning for that collaborative piece. And it really does have that interactive component that you need when you're having your meeting. And there is the connection between Teams and Whiteboard. So one of the things we did look at yesterday was when we shared our screen. And I want to show this to you because so you could kind of see the possibilities with Whiteboard, right? Look at all of the different things that you can do on a whiteboard. And we're going to try to explore that today. So one of the things that I want to talk about is that share screen option in a Teams meeting. For those of you, I have to keep denying if you're trying to request access to my screen. So try not to touch the screen. Just access the chat. I'm sorry, did you guys talk about the chat before I got on? I didn't show that slide. I don't know if I need to.
No, we did talk about the chat in terms of where they can ask their questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, perfect.
It's only available to the team members.
I'm sorry?
It shows that it's only available to the team members. I presume that's you all. I'm not able to access it.
I am not able to hear what you have to say, so I'm going to just show this slide really quickly. The chat is available here, and the chat, you click on this little caption box to open up the chat. And then you're able to type your questions in the chat, okay? And it can be accessible after the meeting by clicking on chat in the left rail in the top left corner, and you should be able to see the resources that will be shared with you. We'll share resources at the end of the meeting that kind of compiles everything we've talked about so that you have access to that, okay? All right, so let's get right into Whiteboard. Within Teams itself, when you do share a screen in Teams, so you guys should be able to see my team screen here. I'm going to unshare so that I can show you what that whiteboard option looks like.
Okay, I'm sorry, Your Honor. There's another picture with a larger section of fence that was replaced. That's what we...
Thank you. All right. Sorry about that. So here, when you share content, yesterday we talked about how to share content, and you share content when you're in a Teams meeting by pressing this little button here, and this button has a pop-up window that appears that asks if you want to share your desktop, your window, PowerPoint, whiteboard, and you'll choose the option to share whiteboard. That was in our meeting yesterday. I can put a screenshot a little later on in the chat for you to see what those options look like. But you're going to choose the far right option that says to share a whiteboard. So what that will do is that will add a whiteboard to the screen in your meeting, and you're able to basically all the students in the meeting and you have access to edit that whiteboard. So that whiteboard will look like this in the meeting. Let me zoom in so you can see it. It will look just like this in the meeting. And so the students will have access to tools, these inking tools. So if you were to, let's say, put a topic and you wanted them to brainstorm, they can just grab these inking tools and write their comments next to that topic. And so you have that interactive element during the meeting. So the whiteboard that you integrate within the Teams meeting by sharing your screen is pretty simple, okay? And I'm using the word simple because it has just the option for you to ink, for you to be able to put something on the screen in ink, and for everybody in the meeting to be able to write on the screen in ink, okay? Now, there are different ways to use Whiteboard and different versions of Whiteboard that you can then bring into a team. So the one that I'm gonna show you the app version, because the app version is a lot more robust, and you can still bring it into your Teams meeting. So these sites will be shared with you. Basically, you're going to get the whiteboard if you are on a Windows device, or you can get it if you're on a Mac or iOS device. You'll just go to your app or your Play Store and download the desktop version of that whiteboard app. And once you do, you'll have it downloaded on your computer so that you're able to open it as an app. Now, again, this is outside of Teams. This is outside of Teams being able to use it to its full capabilities. And it looks like this. If I do a search, this is what it looks like, Microsoft Whiteboard. And when it opens up, this is what I see. So I can see other whiteboards that I may have been part of, I may have created, and I now have the ability to create a new whiteboard. So I'm going to click that option so you can see. And when I say it's more robust, I mean you have a lot more options when you're using the desktop or the online version versus the one that you share your screen with in Teams. Okay, so here it's just a canvas, right? And at the bottom, you have your little toolbar. So you can do inking by using all of these different inking tools that you see here. Okay, so I can grab a pen and I can ink. They even have the rainbow pen, which, okay. Highlighting, I can use a ruler to draw a straight line. I can erase if I wanted to. I can undo, I can redo. Okay, so those are my inking options. Then I have the option, if I wanted to, I can actually add an image. So let's say I added an image of a map and I wanted the students to, I added the map of the United States and I wanted the students to put the names of the states on the map. I can do that through adding an image. And for some reason, this computer is very, okay, so it's pulling from my files. That's why it's just a little slow. Okay, so I can add an image. There is a lag here, so just be patient with me for a second. I can add a note. Think of a note like a Post-it. So if I wanted to say, this is a, you know, topic 1. Okay, and then I add some details. I can add it and I can move it and I can add multiple Post-its. And then this plus option I like is because I can add all of these other things, such as a PDF. I could put a PDF of a crossword puzzle and then you know, usually when you start a meeting, not everybody joins at the same time. So people are just kind of waiting around. So a good way to kind of, you know, get people engaged in the meeting right away is to put something like a crossword puzzle. And then when you put it as a whiteboard, they are able to write on the screen right there, write in the, you know, fill in the blanks there in the crossword puzzle, and they're engaged right when they walk into the meeting or sign into the meeting. You can insert a Word document, a PowerPoint, stickers, something from your camera, a Bing image, and they have these wonderful templates that you can use, that you can just insert right into the Whiteboard app. So templates related to brainstorming, kind of, you know, this is checking the status of your team sprint, so your progress, reflection, effective meeting, and so on and so forth. Project planning, all of these different KWL, all of these different templates that you can bring in. So with Whiteboard, you know, it's kind of, you have so many possibilities. Now, the one that I'm showing you, you're going to have to share, if you want your students to be able to collaborate on the whiteboard together, you're going to have to share a link with them so they have access to it. So that's what I want to show you next. How do you share? So you create this whiteboard and you have topics and you want the students to be able to fill in information for the topics. How do I get this to them? Well, what you have to do is up here on the right-hand side where it says invite someone. You can invite your students directly. So if you'll be in the Miami-Dade organization, so you can invite them directly, or you can get this sharing link, or look, it even says post to Teams. So if you're connected with Teams, this must be new because I haven't seen that option before. So let's see what it does when it says post to Teams. It's going to ask me what Teams I want to post it to. So this is not during actually a live meeting. It's just posting it to a Teams that you already have. So, but that's great that it has that option. So what you're going to do is create a sharing link. So let me do it again. Create sharing link. I'm going to turn that option on. I'm going to grab this link. And what I'm going to do next is actually put that link in the chat. And then I'm going to just direct the students to click on the link in the chat. And then what I'll do is I'll share my screen with the Whiteboard app. And so as the students click on the link and they enter into the whiteboard, they can see on the screen live everything that's happening because it happens in real time. Okay, so I wanna do that with you so that you can kind of get a feel for what that looks like. The only thing is Whiteboard works within your tenant. So I'm in the Teams meeting, I'm actually in a different tenant, meaning I'm not in the Miami-Dade schools tenant. So you will be fine because you're going to be within your Dade schools tenant within your students. So you don't have to worry about this. So I'm opening up a whiteboard. And if you notice, I am in the web. I am online, so you can actually access Whiteboard. If you don't have it downloaded on your computer, you can access that version of it here online as well. And so I can grab this link here. So I'm going to get this link.
Oh, it's on the
side.
yeah.
I'm going to get this link and I'm going to go to the chat and I'm going to put this in the chat. So if any of you want to click on that link, we can see you click on it. It may ask that you sign in, and remember, this is all Office 365, so it may require you to sign in with your credentials just to verify. So when you do sign in, you'll see that you have access to this whiteboard, and you'll be able to, use these inking tools here to write on the whiteboard. Okay. Now, again, I want to emphasize that the desktop version has so many more options for you to choose from inking to inserting images, to using those little Post-it notes, to inserting PDF files. You have full capabilities with the desktop version versus the online version or the version that's in Teams. Okay, I just want to emphasize that to you so that you are so that you can be encouraged to download the desktop app. Okay. Okay. So I'm trying to insert a page from a PDF so that you could see how that looks. So this is a whiteboard. So if I actually inserted a page to something and I wanted the students to fill something out or, ink over it or, fill in the blanks, they can certainly do that together collaboratively and with access through that link that I shared. Okay. So let me go back online to look at that. I don't know how many people are on. Let me see if it will tell me. Nope, not yet. It won't tell me how many, but I'm not typing it. I'm not inking anything. This is you guys doing that. And so what you're doing is giving the students access, putting your content on the whiteboard, and then giving them an opportunity to collaborate. And they can see that during the meeting. Okay, they can see it on the whiteboard that they're looking at, and it shows on your screen as well. So that's great. Thank you all. For those of you that clicked on it and joined, you see how easy that was for you to join. Thank you all for doing that and demonstrating how easily that can work for you during a meeting, for you to share content with your students. Okay, so just a few things, and again, these links are going to be shared with you. I do just want to touch on a few things here, so to kind of answer those questions that are burning. You can use Whiteboard on your PC. You would just need to log in with your Office 365 account. Okay. You have to download the app and then you have to log in with your Office 365 account. If you have an Apple iOS device, follow those same steps. Go to your Apple Store and download the Whiteboard app. Okay. And then it is available on the web, just like you saw, but it does not have the full capabilities as the app in the desktop. Okay, so these are just some of those basic questions that I wanted to address. Again, you will get access to this so that you can see, you have those quick answers to the questions that you may have as you're starting to use Whiteboard. And again, this web page that will be shared with you, these are common questions that you can get quick answers to. You will also have access to the templates. So you can see some of these templates at work here and how it's being used. Pretty cool, where you can add the different types of media to your whiteboard, sort them, react to them. Okay, and these are the different templates categories that they have. And some more examples of those whiteboards. Okay, another one that will be shared with you. This is the Teams integration that I was talking about. Again, you will only have inking options within the Teams integration. You won't have the ability to upload something to it. It'll just be inking options altogether. Okay, and that's pretty much it with showing you whiteboard. Again, I wanted to show you that you have that ability to bring in that whiteboard. So I know for the math and the science teachers that may rely on using that whiteboard canvas, you have that opportunity to bring that in when you have your teams meetings to get the students to be able to easily collaborate. So what you should do, the first thing you should do is go to your Microsoft Store or your App Store on your device, depending on which device you have, and download the Whiteboard app from the App or Play Store. So go to the store, search for Whiteboard, download the Microsoft Whiteboard app onto your device. And then when you sign into it, use your Office 365 credentials, which is your ID number at dateschools.net. Okay, so that's the first step that you should take. The next step is, please play with it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to click on something, use your mouse. It is a blank canvas that you can zoom in that is pretty much endless. I mean, I'm zooming in and I'm zooming out, and I've actually zoomed in a bit too much, but you can leverage it and put so much content on here, just for your students to have access to be able to collaborate on. Students can write on it. So play with these features, play with these inking features, with the imaging features and the insert features. Play with them to see how they work for you. Don't be afraid, because you're not going to break it. Okay, just play with it. Open it and play with it, and also know where to go. So in the top right, know where to go to grab those links. So wherever you see ellipses in anything Microsoft, it always means more options. Click on it and see what options you have. Okay, if you click on your account picture or your account icon, this will allow you to see which account you're signed in as. And then this option here, it just tells you if you want to if you want to turn on certain features like inking to shape. So inking to shape, that feature is on. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let me do my inking. Let me go to my inking, and I want to draw a triangle. It kind of, I guess that's an isosceles triangle. I don't know. I'm not a geometry person. But look how it's turning my not so nice looking shapes. It's kind of automatically turning them into a better looking shape, but the points have to connect so it knows that it's a shape. Okay. All right. So at this time, I want you to think about how you structure your online classes. And I want you to really think about how you can integrate a tool like Whiteboard into your lessons that you're currently doing with your students. How can you use Whiteboard for an activity with your students? Think about that for about 20 seconds. And I want you to put a comment in the chat with how you can see using Whiteboard with your students for interactivity, how you can see yourself using it for interactivity. So we're going to pause for about 10 seconds for you to think about that and put it in the chat. Okay, and I am going to actually stop presenting so that I can ask Ophelia and Carmen to share some ideas that they may have and some ideas that may have come up in the chat.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Carmen.
I saw a lot of great ideas already in the chat. Filling in the blank, drawing pictures, maybe for vocabulary. My son is in first grade and he has to draw pictures to reflect what the word means. You can even use this for sorting. You can have, different categories and then have the kids sort whatever you have. Highlight text, connecting a PDF, and then maybe students can annotate on there. So there's a lot of great ideas already in the chat.
Awesome. Ophelia, and if anyone wants to come off mute just to share their thoughts and their ideas, please do so. I really want to hear from you guys, because I know we have elementary represented here, middle school and high school, and every grade level will use it differently. So we can really learn from each other when you're sharing your ideas. So please come off mute and tell us how you can see yourself using this tool in your classroom. We have about 5 minutes for us to share.
You can use it in your DI groups to complete assignment with just that small group.
There's some really good examples on the chat.
Yeah, I'm reading the chat and they're great. One that stood out is the analyzing the characters, comparing and contrasting with a Venn diagram.
There, but I'm back. Sorry about that. Let's answer any questions that may have come up in the chat.
There was
Celia, Carmen, were there any questions in the chat that I can go over?
There was a comment or a question that Whiteboard is not available on Mac, the Mac store. Do you know anything about that, or if that will be available later? Hello?
You need to go to the Microsoft Store and download the one.
I think we're having connectivity issues.
Yeah, I think we lost Michelle.
Yeah.
But I think she's showing basically the Whiteboard app. Again, you can use it. Yeah, we can hear you now, Michelle.
I'm sorry, guys. I think the rain down here in Homestead doesn't work well with the internet. So, okay, what I was showing you was this website here. I'm going to put this in the chat. You see here where it says get Whiteboard for Windows, get Whiteboard for iOS. You can click on these links and it will take you to where you need to go for the downloads. Okay, so I'm going to put it, you see how it just automatically says get? So whatever device you have, whether it's a Windows device or an iOS, I'm going to put that in the chat right now so you could just click on that link to get it. Okay, any other questions while we have a few more minutes? Let me stop sharing my screen so I can write in the chat. We have about 4 minutes.
I tried to download the Whiteboard through Teams. I went to the Date Schools account, the Microsoft Teams, and I'm trying to search the Whiteboard in the apps, and it doesn't show up.
It's not a separate app. So I said earlier that when you're sharing your screen in Teams, Whiteboard is an option that you have for sharing. Okay, so you have to share your screen and choose Whiteboard as the option. So it's not a separate app that you have to download into Teams. You just share your screen in Teams and you click Whiteboard.
And it is then therefore all those things that you were showing that we can organize a whiteboard, we cannot do that in advance if we are talking to our students.
You can do that in advance if you would like. Absolutely, you can. You can open the app. You can set up your whiteboard, upload whatever content you want, set it up with whatever template you want. Okay, during your meeting, you share the link to that whiteboard with your students for them to access it.
That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to open the whiteboard, but it doesn't open because, like you said, you have to share your screen to get to it. So,
you're not going to be able to share your screen in this meeting because you're not in the Date Schools tenant. You have to do it when you're in your Dade Schools tenant meeting with your students in your tenant. Then you will see that option.
I already went into my Dade Schools account while you were talking to others, and it doesn't show up there. Instead, it shows an, what's the name? It shows freehand by Envision, not Whiteboard. In the Dade Schools account.
Okay, it should be right above that. If I'm gonna
I
log
did
into
a
Dade
search
Schools
in
right now to check. I'm gonna log into Dade Schools right now to check. I know that it is available because I've used it before in Dade Schools, and it is something that is available in the Dade Schools tenant because I have used it before in the Dade Schools tenant. It could be that you need to refresh your screen. It could be that you need to use the desktop version of Teams versus the online version of Teams. Okay? You have more options using the desktop version of Teams than you do the online version. So you might want to check it in the desktop version of Teams. It is available in the Dade Schools tenant.
Would you
may
be
have to switch browsers. You
please
may have
help
to
me
switch
find
from
it?
desktop to online.
Can you please help me find it? Because I've gone and I've looked and I don't see it. And I am on my desktop. I have a separate line open on my desktop and I don't see it. So if you can please show me on your screen how to get there, it would be helpful.
Okay,
So Whiteboard is
if we can-
available on the apps. When you see the apps, when you go into your Microsoft Office, it's
Yeah.
under apps.
Yeah, but that's not the one. Okay, there's an
I'm on the
option
one
to
in
share your screen, and then you'll see the Whiteboard app when you share your screen. So I'm trying to open up the Dade Schools one right now. Again, we're in a meeting, so I'm not able to open up Dade Schools while I'm in the desktop app because I'm currently in a meeting right now in another tenant.
So Michelle, here is
Give me
where
time.
it's visible. If we log into Office 365, at that point we see Outlook, OneDrive, Teams, and Whiteboard is there. But if I try to open the Whiteboard inside the Teams in Dade Schools, it does not. It gives me the option over there, even when I search, of freehand by Envision, but not the option of Whiteboard inside the team. So if I were be doing a meeting with my students in Microsoft
so
Teams,
then you use the other option. Open up the Whiteboard in the desktop, the full version of Whiteboard in the desktop. Set it up however you would like. Remember, you have full access to the desktop version. Set it up however you would like. Grab the link like I showed you and share that link with the students for them to be able to access it. There is always a workaround when there are glitches to technology, and there will always be glitches to technology. That's just how it works. So you just
basically we are using it to share screen, and then they are working on it, and we'll be able to see when we share our.
We're going to share right now. We're at time. There are links that are going to be shared with you that will give you visuals to walk you through that process. Because right now I am trying to explain to you, if you're having a glitch, to use the other way, use the workaround. That workaround will give you more access to using the Whiteboard. And I know that you want to see it in your Teams meeting, but just right now you may not be seeing it because you may need to go into a different browser. You may need to open it in the app. You're just not seeing it. So I'm just asking that you look at the resources that are going to be shared with you and try to follow what the resources are telling you, because right now we're at time.
Okay, everybody, this is Audrey from the Education Fund again. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Michelle, Ophelia, and Carmen. We will be back at 5:30 for the next webinar. You do not have to quit this Teams meeting. You can just leave your screen, minimize your screen, and come back to it at 5:30. If you do leave, you use the exact same link that I sent you to rejoin.
Okay. Before you leave, Audrey, or before you go, I am going to share my screen. I am logged into Miami-Dade County Public Schools. I am logged in and I press the share screen option. I have the option to share from my desktop or my window, a PowerPoint, and here I see the option in a Teams meeting to share a whiteboard. Okay, so if you're not seeing it, you need to switch your browser or you need to refresh your screen. Okay?
Every staff member we have here will be wearing masks.
All right, thank you guys. We'll see you in the next meeting.
Okay, so if you want to stick around, just again, you can mute your mic, minimize your browser. If you have any questions for me about the education fund or anything that we do, you can ask me now between now and 5:30. I'm going to hang around.
Retail at 50% capacity.
And it's beneficial to the community, to many of our small businesses.
I have a question. Today is my first day signing in, and it looks like you guys have done this before. Where do you guys have the videos for this recording again?
Okay, what's your name?
Maite Varela.
Okay, so we have all of our recordings on our YouTube channel. So it takes us about a day to put the ones from previous days. But you go to youtube.com/education fund. So I will type that into the chat box again.
Perfect.
But it's wonderful. We record them. In fact, let me stop recording this one.
It looks like a